Hey, you ever stop and think, wow, that would make a great story? Same here. On Cat's Stories, we pull together short tales from life that'll make you laugh, think, or just go, yep, been there. My name's Kathleen and let's get started. And for our next post, am I the idiot H for trying to stand up for my husband? My husband and I went out while my MIL watched our 2 kids. Later she was telling me how she texted my husband so late last night with the offer to watch both of our kids. He had joked that he wondered if she would regret that offer tomorrow and whether or not it was just 11 p.m. talking, and I thought it was mildly funny, so I repeated this to her. My husband was worried about her getting mad at him. I texted her that night, thanking her, apologizing and letting her know how much we love and appreciate her. She responded that she was fine. The next day my FIL said she had a stomach bug. We texted to see if she was okay and she said she was fine. The day after I made some soup and sent my husband over with it. When he got there she started screaming at him for the comment I made and the fact that we didn't care about her. He called me upset about it and said he didn't want to see her for a few days. I completely understood. She said awful things to him. Since she watches our kids, I felt like I needed to confront what happened and tell her why we wouldn't be sending the kids over so that she didn't feel I was being passive-aggressive. I told her how I felt in the kindest way I could while still being firm with my boundaries. My husband just called me incredibly upset about the things that were said to him. I want you to know how much he loves you and values your opinion of him. He places so much weight in what you think of him as a son. After the last time we were over he was so upset at me because of how he thought you might perceive what I said. Because of that I texted you to apologize and to let you know how loved you are. I know he has checked in on you since, and if you say that you are fine I don't feel it's his job to assume otherwise. It has been an incredibly busy week for him, but he has taken the time every day to think about you and how you might be feeling. The way you made him feel was not okay. I understand you have things going on that are causing stress, but it's not okay to take it out on him like that. I'm going to be keeping the kids here for a while. I have always appreciated your help and I am so grateful for how amazing the 2 of you are with the children, but if Dot is going to feel like that help means he is constantly indebted to you or has to take that kind of emotional attack, then I would rather protect his feelings until we can all interact in a civil manner. I hope you feel better soon and I really do apologize for what I said. I did not know it would be taken the way it was. I will take better care to watch what I say in the future. She called my husband and screamed at him, calling him names, and said she would say so many horrible things to him that it would ruin their relationship forever and then he would understand. Because she said he should have never told me anything. I understand wanting to keep some things between a mom and son, but she has no right to scream at him and then tell him to keep it to himself. And for our next post, am I the idiot for asking my husband to see a doctor about his snoring? My husband 27M snores. Like a lot. I 26F haven't been able to sleep well for a while. We've tried a few things to sort it. He had tried those nasal strips, and I tried earplugs, but can't tolerate them. I wear hearing aids during the day so my ears are already pretty sensitive and sore by night, and I really need to get a chance to let my ears breathe. I'm exhausted. For over a year I've been trying to suggest he see a doctor. I've explained that I haven't been sleeping well, and that he always feels tired too, maybe some because of the snoring. He doesn't want to go to the doctor because he's overweight, and doctors often blame everything on his weight, and that's just not a fun experience. I have been trying to convince him that even if that's what happens here, it's something that I think both of us need. This last week my husband got sick and I have tried so hard not to bother him, but the snoring has gotten worse. I am unfortunately someone with insomnia, hard to fall and stay asleep, and I have never been able to sleep during the day, which means if I'm woken up at night I can't make it up during the day. I've had multiple sub-4-hour nights this week. I feel like I'm going insane. Last night I sent him a text basically begging him to please see a doctor. I said I know it's worse now because of the flu, but I am at a breaking point. I offered to set up the appointment for him myself or go to the doctor with him. I don't think it wasn't mean. I also said I really need this handled because I don't want to have to sleep in different rooms, but I am not getting enough sleep. I've recorded him snoring, thinking maybe he would get why it was so difficult for me to sleep. He told me it was mean of me to do this while he was sick and to give him a break about the snoring and just let him recover. I immediately broke down in tears. I had been trying to wait until he was recovered. He told me he was going back to work today, so I figured he was. He said he didn't have the energy to deal with this bullshit. I've been trying to be patient for the last year because I currently don't have a job. I was diagnosed with a condition and haven't been able to work, so between the two of us I figured it was more important he got good sleep. I'd recently started applying to jobs again and have an interview today, which is why last night was so hard for me. I really needed the sleep last night after almost 2 weeks of him snoring worse than normal. I didn't mean to upset him, but I'm also exhausted. While we were arguing, he said he would just sleep on the couch, and as much as I don't want that, I agreed to let him until we can get this sorted, thankfully. I feel like maybe I was a bit of a jerk though because of the way I went about asking him this time. I really wasn't trying to be, but maybe I was. TLDR, my husband snores and he told me I was wrong for asking him to see a doctor about the snoring while he was sick. And for our next post, am I the idiot H for refusing to pay for expensive internet? This roommate is gullible and signed up for an offer in the mail for a different company. He didn't run it by me or the other roommate first. I'm not a homebody that likes sitting at home all day, so I was happy with the $20 month grandfather price cheap internet that was in my name. I'm either working, hiking, going out to eat, or doing my hobbies. Am I the idiot H for not wanting to pay more for something I barely used to begin with? And for our next post, would I be the idiot if I tell my wedding planner friend what her assistant did at my wedding? Yeah, y'all, throwaway, so I'ma try to be quick with here. I am 27F and married my best friend 28M about a month ago. One of my good friends is a wedding planner and I used her company for the coordinating. She was a guest at the wedding but had 3 other people from her company work with my husband and I. They were amazing. The whole wedding went perfectly. Not a single complaint about the job the company did. One of the assistants was this guy who looked to be about my age. I didn't give it much thought. This past weekend, I hung out with my friend Clara 25F. This is the first time we are seeing each other since my wedding. Clara told me a funny story about my wedding. She said a few days after my wedding she received an Instagram follow and message from someone she didn't know. The gist of the message was that it was from the assistant coordinator at my wedding. He pretty much said that he was working and couldn't say anything, but he noticed her at the wedding and thought she was really beautiful and he wanted to ask her on a date. She asked how he found her and he proudly said that he noticed her, looked up the seating chart of the table she was seated at for dinner, and looked up every girl at the table until he found her. She said she wasn't comfortable with that and blocked him. She told me it was funny in hindsight, but at the time she was a little uncomfy. Clara did emphasize to me she didn't think it was a big deal. Would I be an idiot if I told my wedding planner friend about what happened? She will most likely report him to the head of the company, and maybe he will or maybe he won't be fired. I don't know if I'm being vindictive or not. It doesn't sit right that we paid a guy to do a job and he ended up stalking and deeming my friend. And for our next post, would I be the idiot if I canceled a trip because of my friend's behavior? My friend and I, both early 20s, had a 4-day trip planned to see a concert in Phoenix later this spring. The 2 of us out of country and 3 other friends from ASCA would be staying at one's family vacation house in Phoenix. The issue is that my friend, who I'll be traveling with, is horrible at communicating and will ghost for days to a week or 2. It's come to the point I wouldn't feel comfortable traveling internationally with her at all. This includes not discussing important travel details in a timely manner, which is very important in general and to me as most of the planning is my responsibility. Not only this, but she's very easily overwhelmed. My friend group is both heavy on healthy communication as well as fast-paced and energetic since we're all close-knit athletes. None of us want her to feel left out, but I think she would genuinely just be overwhelmed by even our relaxed mode. Everyone gets along and we'd be willing to accommodate her, but she won't communicate at all about doing so. I honestly just don't see either of us enjoying the trip anymore due to this, and my concerns have made me consider canceling. For reference, I wouldn't be going either. We both saved enough for the trip that she could go alone, but I don't feel comfortable traveling with her. TLDR, friend won't communicate about details of international trip or in general and would likely be overwhelmed by it as well. Would I be the idiot if I canceled the whole thing? And for our next post, am I the idiot for not going to my sister-in-law's birthday party? Me F25 and my GFF25 have been together for almost 3 years now, and when I met my girlfriend she was very close with her brother Kyan 27 and his girlfriend Delilah 25. At the start of our relationship they felt pushed aside. They didn't get to see each other as often. Every doubt my GF had about our relationship, Delilah used against me towards my GF to manipulate her into distancing her from me. Side note, we are in an incredibly happy and healthy relationship and talk about everything with each other. We were only at the time struggling with navigating and balancing our lives and a serious relationship. Time went on in which I always felt like Delilah didn't like me. She always went out of her way to make sure she didn't talk to me, ignored me in front of family. My GF always thought that it wasn't the case, but for the last couple of months she started noticing it as well. Since they aren't as nice to her anymore either, I always felt awkward and left out in a place where I didn't know anyone from her family. Delilah often isolated herself with my GF, so I would feel even more lonely. When there were parties she'd take my GF to another room so that I didn't hear what they were talking about, so I always felt like she talked shit about me behind my back to her close friends and even family-in-law, and always felt uneasy when seeing her. She would always avoid me. She would just act like I didn't exist. Still to this day, 3 years, and I hoped it would get better, but it never did. Now she is throwing a birthday party and invited everybody personally through text messages. I did not receive an invite even though she has my number, so I asked my GF if Delilah sent her a message that I was also invited and I could come. My GF at first responded that sure, she probably expected me to come too and that I shouldn't worry about being invited. However, when I asked again, a couple of weeks later, of my anxiety, I asked if I could maybe read the texts that were sent. My GF started crying, and then I knew that my instinct was right. Delilah didn't mean to invite me. When my GF said that I was coming as well, she said that she didn't appreciate her not asking whether I was allowed to come because of tensions in the past. Mind you, Delilah and I have never spoken in general, especially not about this. She avoids me and I never get the chance to talk to her, so I don't really understand the whole tension thing. So she said that I was invited this time, but next time my GF needs to ask if I'm allowed to come with her. Does anyone have advice for this situation? What should I do? Should I tell my parents? TLDR, my sister Il has always ignored my existence and it has caused so much trouble in my relationship. Now she has not invited me to her party and I am not going. This is so much drama over nothing. OMG. Can we stop with this immature bullshit? That's all for now. If you enjoyed the stories, give this video a thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe. It really helps the channel grow. Got a story to share? Drop it in the comments. I'm always up for reading them. Until next time, it's Kat. Goodbye.